Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Luke. I am the owner of owlsoil.eu, owlsoil.com, and we are here to provide as much education as possible for you. Look, cannabis is a really new subject, especially for the likes of the European and Asian countries. And so if you're from the USA, you may be already familiar with some of this stuff, but we're going to get into it and really explain some of the differences between marijuana and also hemp. So this is a really confusing subject because of the way these definitions have been given. And the main thing is that, like, you got marijuana, and I say marijuana and I say hemp just so that you can realize, like, I'm talking about this one here is like what you typically would smoke regularly. We call it weed, we call it whatever, and this one is sort of like new. Typically hemp is like, well, we don't even really smoke this, right? It's just like, who smokes hemp? But they're actually both cannabis. They're both cannabis sativa L. There's a few different varieties, but cannabis sativa L is the name for this. And if a plant has high amounts of CBD and less than 0.3 delta 9, that is considered hemp. And over here on this side, we've got marijuana or weed that is high in THCA, is actually what it's high in. Some people just say THC, it's THCA, and can have less or more than 0.3 delta 9 because it'll always have high THCA. Now, the thing about it is that it starts getting confusing because then we also have new cannabinoids coming out, like THCV. We have CBG. These were never around back in the day. We've got some new plants also coming out with THCP. And imagine with how this works, like, you can just take different plants, you basically make them with each other, and they have little plant babies. And those little plant babies have the genetics of one and the other. So now we've gotten to this place where it's like, hemp used to be this like horrible looking stalky, stuff that you'd never put near smoke. And marijuana was this like these really juicy buds with these really delicious flavors. And now they've all been merged and back crossed. And now you've got like CBD that just looks exactly like THC. It's literally no different. The only difference is one is not really going to get you high at all. It just gives you like a pleasant feeling almost sometimes. And the other is something that you're going to have a strong psychoactive effect. Now, the thing about it is, the one major difference with this is that one is considered to be legal and the other one is completely illegal. Even people say like, oh, it's being decriminalized. It's like, in America at least, marijuana is still a Schedule 1 substance. And marijuana, I mean the one cannabinoid, delta 9 THC, which is higher than 0.3. Everything else to the left of that is considered hemp. And so when we are looking at the risks associated with that plant, you have hemp, which is basically come over here and be like, hey, I don't have any of these issues over here. You can still have a good time. You're still going to have all the same feelings. You're going to be able to buy these products more safely. You can use banking. You can have your credit cards. And you can get it shipped to your house. And this is called hemp. Because when these laws were written, they didn't realize there's like 153 different identified cannabinoids. I won't even get into the ones that aren't identified. And so imagine you've got this big long line of like, here's 150 different cannabinoids. And they said they came all the way down here and they're like, let's put the line like here. Right, we're going to put it right here. And this one here, delta 9, we'll even let a little bit of that go over here. But if it's over 0.3, that's marijuana. Everything else to the left is now called hemp. And this industry has grown exponentially over the past 4 years. I think last year it grew something like 1,200%. It's like a 10x. And then we've got cannabis over here, highly regulated. A lot of red tape. right? And I mean a lot of red tape, a lot of hoops to jump through. So much so that for many of the people, like myself, for instance, who was doing my best paving the way with many others when medical cannabis is available, basically got muffled out for not having millions and millions of dollars, or you would eventually just wait until oblivion to get a license. Like, we left Massachusetts 5 years ago, and now delivery services have just started their licenses. Imagine that, just waiting. And so in that intermediate time, they either try to arrest you or they try to adjust the laws, right? So the one thing that I'll say about hemp, which is great, it's already figured out. It's already legal. We already have banking. We don't need any more help. And so in the same thing, when you look at the likes of countries like Ireland or Europe, and they're still figuring this stuff out, hemp laws are basically already figured out. The main issue is that they've just focused on one cannabinoid rather than 150. So we've got a lot of upside here. Think about the alcohol industry, right? It's almost like saying that they thought it was going to be like, well, here's the vodka over here, and let's give them spritzers. But they didn't realize that the spritzers could also be whiskey and wine and beer and cider. And so if we're in an alcohol prohibition and we've got the opportunity to try all these other drinks, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? We want to have a good time. We want to have a little bit of a buzz, right? We want to feel good. And so they're really the main differences of the two. Of course, hemp can be used in a multitude of different ways, right? It can be used for fiber. It can be used for insulation. It can be used for the buds. It can be used for the oils. It can be used for textiles. It's a very versatile plant. Whereas marijuana, or just like the smokable form with high THC, is really only used for that. Now, of course, you get a lot of benefits from that. You get Rick Simpson oil. You get to smoke. You get to the creams. You get the anti-inflammatory properties. You get all of these things. But hemp is just much more wider casting and has much more cannabinoids and much more availability. And so it just allows you to really take the power back and make decisions about what you want. And honestly, it's amazing that we can have access to this, because I remember the time when I first started smoking weed and it was just like you had no idea what it was, just getting stoned. And I remember I used to think about it all the time, thinking like, oh, people just getting stoned. And it's actually not that. Only when I started to see the likes of, and I just want to say for this, in Ireland, there's still a lot of shame. There's still a lot of the reefer madness present in Ireland. And it is a redundant rhetoric that is still being spoken, even by the likes of judges. I remember seeing there saying like 30% of people that use marijuana get schizophrenia. Like, what a joke. Like, did they have it beforehand? Was there any underlying issues? Were they taking psychotic medicine beforehand? Right? There's all of these questions that need to be answered. But when it comes to cannabis, there's such a wide variety of it. Yes, we have hemp. Yes, we have marijuana. Yes, they do all different types of things. But right now, hemp is something that has so many different types of products and industries that it can affect. It is a really positive force for humanity. And whether you're someone who wants to get high, whether you're someone who doesn't, whether you're someone who's in the building industry, it is something that's so versatile that it can make a big impact on your business, on your family, on your health. And you can do so legally by getting this shipped to your door. Without some of the, now I can't say without the issues with the guards, because honestly, this is the thing though, if you can already get arrested for CBD or HHC or these others, then you might as well just do it anyway, because there is no variation to it. They're just gonna waste your time, bring you to court, waste taxpayers' money anyway. So you might as well enjoy it while it's here. And so as we wait for marijuana or medical cannabis or whatever way you want to call it, again, it's different in every country. I know Germany just legalized. They're not doing any of this medical approach. It's very different. We'll do another video on that later. But the main difference is that hemp is something that's completely legal. It's got so many different variations of it, from CBG to CBD to HHC to THCP. And then you got marijuana, which is this illegal substance. And is unregulated. It's not safe in terms of if you buy from the black market, because you just don't know what it is, where it comes from, what has there been pesticides used on it, heavy metals, has it been sprayed with shite, all of that stuff. And it gives you the power to see how you want to make yourself feel better, because with a little bit of research, you can begin to see a lot of the benefits for HHC, for instance, anti-tumor, possible anti-tumor, anti-cancer, helping with colon cancer, you name it, it helps with a lot of things. And now you can actually get this and utilize it and get yourself on a regimen daily. And if you don't feel it, guess what? You just stop. And so just take your power back, get educated, understand the differences of this. Don't be left behind. And take advantage of it, because in Ireland we can't actually get cannabis. You're taking a risk when you do so, and you can get HHC or these other products instead. And so I hope you find this content useful today. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this. Did you know any of this information beforehand? Love to hear from you. Cheers.